students, we're starting out with question 8. Apparently in my last video, I missed a page. So we're going to start with 8 now. It says to write a cosine equation for the graph and solve algebraically for the first 3 positive values that y equals 6 intersects the graph. So if I'm looking for cosine, I'm going to go from top back to top. So the first thing I want to do is say this is 2, this is 16. Because I want to see if I can find where cosine is first. And I also want to find the top to the bottom of the graph. So it looks like the top is at 9, the bottom is at 1. So D should be 5, the middle should be 5. And then let's see, amplitude from 5 to 9 is 4. The period from 2 to 16, remember that's the period, that's 14. So B is going to be 2 pi over 14 or pi over 7. And my C value is 2. So I don't have a ton of room, but this is a positive cosine graph. Y equals 4 cosine, pi over 7, x minus 2 plus 5. So there's my equation, and then we need to set this equal because I want to know where it intersects y equals 6, which is right here. So there, there, and there. All right, so we're going to set our equation equal to 6. And this is like we did in the question before. We're going to subtract the 5 first. Pi over 7. So I get a 1, divide by 4. So I have cosine, pi over 7, x minus 2 equals 1/4. So now we get to do the fun part. We're going to cosine inverse both sides. And we're going to reciprocal both sides. So 7 over pi, plus minus 7 over pi, cosine inverse of 1/4. And then the last step is to add the 2. So again, you should make sure that you're in the correct mode, which I already checked in the video before. And then we're going to type this in. Make sure you're in radians because this is radians. So cosine inverse, 1/4, and then plus 2. So 4.937. And then we want to do the same thing. We want to type it in to get the other answer. So I'm going to copy and paste it. Go all the way to the front, put a negative sign. Negative 0.937. Now, it says the first 3 positive values. So this answer will be rejected, but I need to add the period, which is 14. So 13.063. So that gets rejected. 13.063 is my answer. And then I'm going to go back up to my other answer and add 14, which is, again, the period, 18.937. So 18.937. So there we go, and there we go. All right, let's take a look at the next question. Volume. Squares are cut out of a rectangular piece of cardboard. So it kind of looks like that. This is not a very good diagram. Anyways, all right, so each of the corners are x's, right? This whole side is 14, this whole side is 10. I'm looking for the bottom of the box, okay? So that means that this side here is 14 minus 2x, because I have 2 sides of x's, and that side there is 10 minus 2x. So volume, length times width times height. X is my height, 14 minus 2x, and 10 minus 2x are my length and my width. All right, so we're going to do what we did with the other question with area. It's going to be a graph. It's going to be just the first 2 values where it would touch the x-axis. So the first one's 0. If I set this one equal to 0 and this one, I'm going to get 5 and 7. So we're going to go from 0 to 5 because you want to go with the first two numbers. So we're going to graph it. Again, make sure you do x times, and then in parentheses 10 minus 2x, and then 14 minus 2x. And then we got to change our domain. So we're going to go menu, window, settings, 0 to 5. There we go. Menu, window, zoom fit. Perfect. Menu, analyze graph maximum, there to there. Now I can't see it, so I'm going to move it out of the way. So I need to label that on my graph. So I have 1.91833, that's my x value, and then 120.164. That's my volume. Now, what does the question say? Find the maximum volume. Well, the y value is the volume, so 120.6164. If it asks, oh, it also asks for the dimensions. So, whoa, there's my volume. My dimensions, it gives me the x value. I have to plug those in to each of those and then round to get my dimensions. So obviously 1.918 is my one dimension, my length. And then if I plug it into the other two, I should get 10.163 and 6.163. So those should be my three dimensions, length times width times height. All right. Number 10, resolve into partial fractions. Remember, we got to factor the bottom, x minus 2 and x minus 1. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to set up an equation. A plus x minus 2 plus b over x minus 1 equals 9x minus 11 over x minus 2 and x minus 1. So think back to last year. I need to cancel out my fractions. So I'm going to multiply everything by the common denominator, x minus 2 times x minus 1. There we go. X minus 2, x minus 1, x minus, minus 2, x minus 1. So that's the first step. So the x minus 2 cancels. I get a times x minus 1. Here, x minus 1 cancels, so I get b times x minus 2. And here, the whole thing cancels, so I just get 9x minus 11. So that's my equation I'm working with. We want to find a and we want to find b. It doesn't matter which one you find first. So in order to get rid of b, I'm going to say x equals 2. So if x is 2, the b is going to cancel. I'm just going to have a times 2 minus 1. The b is going to be gone, and then I'm going to have 9 times 2 minus 11. So we're plugging 2 in for all the x's. 2 minus 1 is just 1a, and then I'm going to have 18 minus 11, which is 7. So a is 7. Now I got to find b, so now x has to equal 1. Because if x equals 1, then the a is going to be gone. So then I'm going to have b times 1 minus 2 equals 9 times 1 minus 11. So what am I going to get? Let me extend the page. There we go. So I'm going to get negative b equals 9 minus 11 is negative 2. So positive b would be 2. So that's what b is. Now I have to plug it back in. So the a was, go back to the original, a was under the x minus 2. And the b is positive 2, and that was under x minus 1. So in other words, if I were to add those together, I would get 9x minus 11 over x minus 2 and x minus 1. So that's my final answer. If you're looking for number 11, I did it in the last video. I skipped this page. So that should already be done. So I'm going to skip to number 12. All right, I have half a sine or cosine graph, and I want to find the equation. So half a graph means I got this to this to this. So if I finished it, it would go to here. So this is 2, this is 2. That means that the period has to be 4. All right, my middle is in between 50 and 20, which is going to be 35. So that's my d value. My amplitude is going to be 15. My C value, I'm starting at 3, and this is in degrees. So 360 divided by 4 is 90. Because remember, 360 be in the period if it's in degrees. So y equals, this is a negative cosine graph. So negative 15 cosine, 90 theta minus 3 plus 35. Now, if I were to write a sine graph, and remember, there is more than one correct answer, I would start from here and go on. That would be a positive sine graph. So 15 sine 90 theta, and this would start in between, which is 4 minus 4 plus 35. And there is more than one correct answer. That's just one of the answers, or both of the answers. All right, let's take a look at number 13. Write an equation of a hyperbola. The center is at the origin. All right, so we're going to draw a little picture. There we go. Vertex is at 0, 8. That means my other vertex is at negative 8, which means my hyperbola, it goes up and down. All right, focus is at 10 and negative 10. So first thing is, when it goes up and down, that means y squared is positive. That means x squared is negative. Hyperbola is always equal 1. So first of all, this length is 8. 8 squared is 64, so that's the number that goes under the y. My x number, I have to use my focus formula. So remember, focus, radical a squared plus b squared for a hyperbola. So my a is 8, right? Which is 64. My focus length is from the center. So 10 equals radical 64 plus b squared. Square both sides. 100 equals, the radical disappears, 64 plus b squared. Subtract the 64. So b squared is 36. So my number under the x is 36. Okay, do I have time to do one more? I'm going to try to squeeze one more in. Actually, you know what? I'm not going to squeeze one more in. I'm going to do one more video. So next video, we will finish up our review.